Hello, everybody. I am the Thom to no one's Jerry, Thom, and this is 1 month later, where we look back at games 30 days after their release and kind of go over if the hype cycle, if the interest of gamers peaked, or if they all ran away the second the game came out. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to our special guest today, the top cat of Welcome to GameCorp. We've got Cowboy here. How you doing, buddy?
Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Sunday night, I'm feeling good.
There we go. I'm sorry to make you continue to talk about Stray. You and Jake and JB recently did an excellent episode of your show, Welcome to GameCorp, the episode entitled Kidnapped, where
Yes.
you go on a narrative adventure while also reviewing Stray.
Exactly. You're making me relive trauma, too. I spent the whole day as a cat, and you want me to talk about it again.
Well,
So
you know,
you and my therapist, those are the two people who get to hear about it.
I am monetizing your abuse, JK. Nobody,
Oh,
we don't, well, maybe one day I'll monetize your abuse. But today, we're here to talk about a game that monetized everyone's love for our furry little 9-lived friends, Stray, from Annapurna Interactive. So this game had a large amount of hype behind it from the gaming community. Right before we went live, you were mentioning how just for the longest time, the off shorthand was the cat game. Everyone was just like, the cat game? When's the cat game coming out? And I think this has had one of the more, I'd say, widespread hype cycles for an indie game in recent memory, just because the core concept, you get to play as a cat. So this was announced about a year and a half ago, and I wanted to get your thoughts on, like, what was your hype, if at all, for this game before it was formally released?
I don't want to let anybody down, especially if they're cat enthusiasts listening, watching this, because I'm not a cat person.
Okay.
And I wish I was. I know that there's such a draw of them, but I'm not. And so to know this from a non-cat person's side of view, it did basically nothing for us. We're like, oh, you get to play as a cat. It's just a cat. Like, that's nothing. I understood the hype, but for us, it fell flat. And so I was like, it'll be interesting when it comes out. I want to see if it lives up to their expectation, not mine.
Totally got you. So I am a cat person. I have 2 cats. And honestly, when it was like, it's Blade Runner kind of with a cat, I was like, holy shit, when can I have this game? And that was a lot of the hype I was writing, and a lot of the hype the gaming community seemed to have been writing up until its July 19th release. So this came out on the PlayStation 4 and 5 through their PlayStation Plus extra super duper service for free if you have that. And then it was also available just a straight up purchase on PC through Steam as well. So this came out to what I would say would be favorable reviews. A lot of 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10s. People seem to just be like, yeah, this is a fine little indie game. What is your kind of shorthand impressions of Stray?
It's got a lot of weird things going from it, because when the hype came out and everything, I saw who it was by. It was by Annapurna. Mm-hmm. And you have to take that into account because of the types of games that they make. I mean, you know them. They made one of the best games that they made, full of like color and music. It's like amazing.
Sayonara Wild Hearts?
No, 12 minutes.
Oh, God.
I had to do it to you.
He got me.
Thom hates 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Bad game.
So I saw this and I was like, I kind of already understood what it was going to be, but I was intrigued. Like you said, Blade Runner. And there's some really cool parts of it. So when I had the Annapurna thing in mind and I played it, they did really well. They really met like the type of game they were trying to do. And so, I don't know. I overwhelmingly positive on Steam, like 100% top of the line reviews. Mm-hmm. No, but 8 out of 10 is a pretty good score for what it's supposed to be.
Right. The divide between like critical analysis and just mainstream opinion, a little bit leaning more towards everyone who just has a cat, like you said, loves this game.
Yes.
I want to mention something that I took away from my gameplay experience. I do kind of agree that this is just this is a fine 7, 8 out of 10 game. This is not like game of the year. This is not transformative. But something that I think was interesting, if not executed entirely well, was just the ultimate concept of playing as a small, vulnerable, non-human character. Because I feel like that's very rare in games. You are typically kind of always put into like a human perspective or like an anthropomorphized animal. I had a conversation, I believe, in your Discord, in our Discord, and in a couple other like forums where I was just like, can anyone think of games where your vulnerability is kind of put front and center? Because I don't think many games before this have done it. And a kind of common answer I got was like Limbo and Inside, because in those games you play as children in harsh, unforgiving worlds.
Yeah,
So
still human, but
makes sense.
vulnerable.
Still, yes, you are right. Still human. It just was such an intriguing concept, although I don't think this game totally came through with it. Just because a lot of the story loops, and I'm not the first person to say this, but it is an
Right.
accurate point. Making it a cat makes a lot of the high sci-fi concepts within this game kind of like there's these concepts about like what is consciousness, and
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
what could be possible if we could digitize life itself. And you know, these things are thrown at the cat protagonist. And like, you know, obviously it's kind of a transition of information to us the player, but like if you think about the kayfabe of in the world, the cat's just kind of like do cats appreciate big ideas like this?
Right. Which they never really addressed, because the cat is always like responding to things the way we would. He understands what you're saying because the player understands. But like you said, kayfabe, it doesn't make sense. This is just a normal cat. It's not genetically engineered intelligent. So how is it accomplishing all these goals? You know, and I've seen that put up somewhere. They're like, either it's A, it's a super smart cat, or B, it's a dumb cat that's getting these things accomplished by dumb luck. And neither is true. I have to agree. One of the things you said about the cat being a new type of player character that we don't see, I think that's one of the best things to come out of this, is that maybe we can start seeing games where you don't just play the human. Like, they took a ground up approach from it instead of like just adapting human controls to a cat. They made cat and controls. They didn't take it far enough, but that's my thought.
I get you. So I appreciated the kind of forced boundaries they put on the platforming, under the logic that, like, you know, cats are very nimble, so we don't want to put you in a situation where your cat's flailing around like
We're
you know.
we're not as good as cats. They didn't trust us.
I thought that's an interesting way to put
can't.
it. They didn't trust us. Yeah. I also just think, obviously, I love my pets, I love animals, but there was a little bit of like, you could tell when they were pumping the brakes on certain types of danger. And I think
Yes.
it came out of like we can't, like, this will piss people off if we go too far. And I'm not saying like, oh, this game needed more gruesome cat deaths, but it's just kind of like the only time you can really die is when the little organic monster baddies attack you. And it honestly, it was upsetting. It was kind of like, oh, damn, that poor little
Yeah.
guy. But I think part of me just wants to suspect that beyond the whole like invisible barriers, you can't properly fall off anything. I think they were also like, we can't make a game where somebody on the internet will make like a compilation of a cat falling off a building 20 times and like, you know, like face planting on the pavement.
Because the serial cat herders are like waiting to get this game so they can, like, no, that's not, it's not
Yeah.
dangerous. You can have the cat get hurt. It makes it more real. It puts in that, but you're right. They pacified it.
Right. And I appreciate the logic behind it, but there's, it's just like, it's one of those situations where like you really feel when the restrictions are there versus when they're not there, and it can kind of affect your immersion into the world.
That's the thing about, like, you know, any platforming. Let's say a lot of this is like platforming and stuff, and that was one of the main elements. The thing that makes platforming satisfying is the fail possibility or probability. You know, it's a good jump because you could have not made it. When you can always make it, and the main gameplay of this is parkour, is super safe.
I consider this more of an adventure exploration game than a platforming game, because as you said, without that fail risk, it's not really platforming, it's just going up.
Right. And I just want sections of danger. I don't need the whole thing to be dangerous. I just want these small sections of danger. And it didn't even have those. Not even during the boss, not during anything. And if it's going to be a major part of the game, just give me somewhere where I can feel once it's dangerous.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. That was a bit of my beef on it.
No, I get you completely. But overall, it's a very interesting, in my opinion, sci-fi world that's fun to explore. The degree of like cat things that they put into the game, I feel like, are really authentic and well woven in. Scratch furniture. There was a moment that unlocks an achievement. Actually, I didn't know it would unlock an achievement, but you can jump on a table where two robots are playing mahjong and just ruin their entire day. And it's like, yeah, I've had my pets ruin so many of my things doing that too. So I was like, they got it. It was accurate in that regard.
Yeah, and I said I wasn't somebody who's. I may not have said outright, but I'm not into these kind of games really. I'm a high octane gamer. This is more of an experience than an atmosphere. But here's the flip. I love some of the atmosphere moments in this. Here I am, playing by myself, and I sit down on the pillow, and I notice that the camera starts to zoom out. The music begins to swell a bit. I don't know if you did that, but if you lay down and relax, the camera takes you on the cinematography kind of thing. And despite being somebody who's like, let's go, let's play, I just had that moment. I just sat back and watched it, and it was great. I mean, that's where it nails it.
Absolutely. Heavy on vibes, and they are very good. So beyond the what is presented, I would say I'm gonna say this right out loud. I'd say the biggest disappointment I have in terms of what's not here is brought about by honestly what I've seen the modding community do. I don't understand why there's not a cat selection option in this game. There is already a number of mods out where you can play as a Siamese cat. You can play as a gray tabby. Someone put Garfield in this. You can play as a photorealistic Garfield and walk around straight, and it's fantastic. And it's kind of like, I understand that the staff designed the protagonist cat based off of their office pet. There's pictures of the cute little guy all over their social media. He's the hero cat, and that's fantastic. But it's just kind of like, people will complain about why certain actors get cast in certain roles, and I'm kind of like, why did an orange tabby need to be the hero of this game? Because it's just like, I don't know, give us a cat selection screen. That's something I really would have liked or would like to see in DLC. What do you think about that, if at all?
Yeah, no, we got the same notes you're reading from my note sheet, because that's one of the major things I brought up. But except my difference is, I think it should be unlockable. I actually thought once I went and did all these I did this Russian doll fetch quest, here to there to here to there, finalized it, and it gave me a shawl or a cover, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll get to wear it. Nothing. What it should have been is collectibles that allow you to unlock different skin. I mean, that incentivizes exploration and collecting and all that. But the fact they just kept it one skin and modders had to come in and do their job for them, they should have had the CJ cat in there. CJ from San Andreas should have been in there in the first place. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen the mod, right?
Oh, I have seen CJ put into God of War. I don't know if I don't think I've seen CJ put into Stray.
CJ as a cat. He is this horrifying monstrosity on 4 legs. It's literally just CJ, and they morphed his body into this cat. It's all over the internet right now. The mods are hilarious.
I promise this section will contain that footage for you, ladies and gentlemen, to see right after this. So that will be spliced. Overall, I feel like people I have talked to have been very positive on this game. Obviously, no one's calling this like better than Elden Ring or anything like that, but people are just like, I got to be a kitty. And that's great.
But the reviews. They all just say cat.
Cat. Yeah, but do we think concept is enough for this game? I don't think it is, because when you look at all the other components of this, we talked at length about platforming already, but I kind of want to talk about like structure. This game's got a really weird structure. It's got a really beefy first and second act, and then when you get to the finale, it's almost like you're playing the game on autopilot. It's just a series of go-to guided points in a room. Make the cat go back, hit X to paw, and then the world is saved. Congrats. Like, there's no kind of, I don't know what kind of quote unquote boss fight you could have had at the finale. Maybe there could have been some kind of grand finale puzzle that you could only solve by like being a cat who can bend through small spaces or something. But instead it's just go over, paw computer screen, repeat 3 times, the world's saved. Hooray. What did you feel about the structure of the game?
No, that it has this whole, when you write happy birthday on a banner and then the letters get smaller as you get near the end because you're panicking and you're out of room and space and time. That's there. That's what happened, because let's say down in the sewers, the Zuck or the Zerk, I forget what they're called nowadays. The Zerk,
the head
crabs.
Creatures. The head crab. Let's be honest. They're head crabs from
The head crabs. Cat head crabs. They're adorable head crabs. There was a section where these giant eyes were everywhere, and they were part of the Zerk. But then you get to the end, and they're like, no, those were just eyes. We're not going to give you a final boss or a section. Oh, yeah, and the Zerk, Forget about them. They weren't a problem anymore. It's like, how are they not included in the final challenges? Why are my challenges logistic? It doesn't make any sense. And it feels like they ran out of time and stuff got cut or something. Very dissatisfying ending.
I am actually shook that I forgot the eyeballs until this very moment. You are right. We have this sequence of
I opened your eyeball.
it did. We have this eldritch horror, and it's really heavy to think that whatever the kind of biological component of the little head crabs, which in the canon of the world they were invented to eat through waste and then eventually kind of got too out of hand and contributed towards the downfall of the society. But yeah, you walk through a tunnel where there are giant sentient eyeballs, and it's horrific. And I remember in that moment thinking, what are the implications of this? What am I going to find? But I clearly forgot about the whole damn thing because it's not even in my notes. You said that, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
shit. They did drop that.
They tried to include some sort of half explanation. They're like, oh, the Zerk only exists below surface or below ground. But that's not an explanation. That's kind of like hand waving, like, oh, that's why we stopped putting him in the game.
Here's something I want to ask. I don't have any proof of this, but because you kind of already suggested it, I really wonder at what point this maybe got a little out of hand due to PlayStation getting involved with publishing them or hyping them up, and just other kinds of expectations. I'm not trying to say that this game was I can't say in any degree that this game was as ambitious in scope as No Man's Sky, but there was a similar situation that, like, once No Man's Sky kind of got a corporate partner, things got out of hand with what they were able to deliver. And I wonder if this going from being, you know, an Annapurna funded indie joint, you know, finish it when it's ready, to, hey, we signed a contract with PlayStation. We're going to be the linchpin of the second month of their brand new subscription service. Stray's got to be ready. Get it out. I can't prove it, but I think it would be plausible.
No, there's definitely a tone of that, because it's the saddest thing. Gamers get excited and they overhype a game, which destroys it. You know, it's like a kid that gets a new toy and gets so excited that he breaks it because he's shaking it too much. You know, that's what happened with No Man's Sky. Everyone, you know, he was like, Hello Games is like, hey, we're making this cool space game. And everyone of the audience said, this is going to be the best space game ever. And he's like, we're just making a space game. Like, it's not that great, you know, and Annapurna. And to think like it's going to be the, you know, best game ever with crazy cool gameplay. They don't do gameplay. That's, in my opinion, I might be trashing them a bit, but Annapurna does atmosphere and story and just aesthetics. And that's what it was. That's what it nails.
I mean, in terms of the Annapurna games I have experienced, this might be one of the most technically large-scale things they have achieved. Like, these cities look very beautiful. They're packed with detail. They look great.
Oh, yeah.
When I think of Annapurna games, I think of, like, high concepts with more efficient execution. Sayonara Wild Hearts, it's this big, colorful music video with rhythm-based gameplay, but, like, it's almost a little minimalistic in the character designs and the shapes and everything, because obviously that's what we say, like, we're talking about Annapurna as indie. It's like, find the most efficient way to deliver this cool idea. And I think they went a little big on this one, and I'm starting to wonder if it was to the game's detriment.
No, I would agree, because the cities were immaculate. They were amazing. They were just, I can't even imagine the person going through and placing everything to make it look this good cluttered. Maybe they blew their budget or whatever on that, you know?
Gotcha. So 1 month later, hey, that's the name of the show, but almost 1 month later, I want to say something I think is interesting in gaming culture. I feel personally like this has almost burnt itself out a little bit. Like, I remember right around the time the game released, meme reaction to this, meme culture for Stray was pretty damn high, and it peaked with the Twitter account Cats Watching Stray, where people would submit photos or footage of their own household pets watching the gameplay and reacting to the on-screen cat. And I didn't submit it to the Twitter, but I mean, I took videos of my cat because I thought it was hilarious. They were like, holy shit, there's another cat in that box. What's going on? And it's funny, but, like, I remember when Untitled Goose Game came out, and there was, like, meme formats of that for a while after that came out, up to the point where, like, at the VGAs at that year they did that little Muppet crossover where they put Beaker into Untitled Goose Game. You know, like that game kind of developed a fandom that really pushed it a little while longer. With this game, I feel like once a lot of people got their hands on it, it kind of quieted down. And
Yes.
what do you think in terms of what you've seen on social media? Do you see Stray outside of like game, like do you see people like, you know, sharing fun images of Stray or anything like that? Like what have you
No,
seen?
it's burnt out already. Like I saw them, and there were two types of posts or meme that you would see. One is hyper enthusiastic. This is so cute. I was seeing montages of the cat, like it falling to sad music and all that. And people there, cool stuff. I like that stuff. Then there was also these super weird memes about like how it was the best game ever. Have you seen the one where it's like the cat from Stray choking Abby from The Last of Us
Holy
because it has a
shit.
higher score on IGN?
I have not.
I was
Holy
like,
shit.
what are you guys talking about? They're like, it's the best game ever. It beats Last of Us by a mile. And I'm like, it's a cat game. It's already burnt out. I haven't seen a meme in a while. It's like getting a kitten. It grows into a cat real fast. That adorableness was gone in a month. Sorry to
Now
say.
it's just sitting on your keyboard while you're trying to work. It's like, oh, it used to be precious.
Yeah, when you were small and cute, that was adorable. Now you're in the way. A 4-hour game with no replayability, no co-op, no anything extra. You got to expect it. I mean, people played it in 4 hours, and then what do? You're going to forget about it. There's nothing you can do to keep it going.
Do you think you have any speculation that this might get DLC? I don't really recall any Annapurna game ever, to my knowledge, getting expansions or anything like that. I feel like once one of these games is done, it's done. If this game got DLC, do you think it would inject more life into it?
I don't even know what they would do. Like more areas would be difficult. The game's already finished in 4 hours. You're not going to pad out another hour. They could do the skins and whatnot. I don't see it. I don't see any mods. I don't see any reviving.
I was honestly disappointed that there was not any kind of section of the hero cat reuniting with its family. I was like, put that over the credits or something. Let the credits roll over this kind of homeward bound reunion. It's just kind of like, nah, screw it. He's out on his own.
Dude, yeah, that's like satisfying payoff 101. That's Chekhov's gun. You showed us him with his family. You made such a big deal out of it. In the end, you don't get a meow. You don't get a shadow. You get nothing. You get this cat. It probably just died alone. It probably went off and like never. Sorry. But that's how I felt. I was like, okay, where's the cats? Where's his family?
Yeah.
He's just walking off alone. No. It's sad. And you didn't even get to see outside the city. Pay an artist to give me that payoff. Just give me a good 8-bit landscape or something. You know what I mean? Just one of those chill hop, awesome like landscape shots, and I'm happy.
Yeah, just a little bit further. That's all I would like them to have pushed it, but I guess they could not. In terms of the new 2022 releases you have played, where is Stray? Is it, is it the bottom of the litter? Is it middle of the pack? What are you thinking?
It's very contextual. So like I can't recommend it across the board to anybody. What I'll do is I'll take somebody and judge. Like my cousin Michaela loved this game. She'd play the heck out of it. She'd take clips. She would just sit at night and just adore it. But am I going to be in like a Halo Infinite lobby with some randos being like, hey, you guys like this game? You guys should check out Stray. They're gonna laugh me out of the lobby. So it depends on who.
No, I agree. This kind of is for me a less satisfying version of what Sable was for me last year, because Sable is all exploration and vibes, but on a bigger scale with a kind of more concrete identity and a better structure. I was saying to my my co-host Josh earlier today that my current kind of like top list of games in 2022 are all like at best like 7s and 8s, because I feel like this is, we are continuing this rough post-pandemic game release schedule of like what we're getting is just mostly fine. I haven't played Elden Ring yet. I'm actually going to begin soon, so I can see. I'm gonna try. He let me borrow a copy, so I'm playing it with no stakes. But what I'm saying is like that's like the Titan at the top of like every critic and gamers list. Regardless of your subjective opinion, that seems to be the biggest game to come out in a while. And I guess maybe it was foolish to assume Stray could have like gotten up there, but I'm just surprised also that it did kind of fall from the grace of my expectations, you know? Like I guess I went into with too much optimism for this.
Yeah, you were part of the hype train. You have a cat, you know.
Uh-huh.
You carried that. The craziest thing to me is that even though you say that, people are still sticking to it because, like I said, overwhelmingly positive, like 99% positive reviews on Steam. But
It looks like you got a ghost in your house, or did a cat just walk through the door right there? Oh my
that's
gosh.
that's my dog. He heard me talking about cats. It's just in the game. I thought he was gonna attack the fake cat for a minute.
Yeah, you actually there's a cameo from the stray cat in the bottom right of Cowboy's screen.
I don't know what my brain told me he was going to attack that cat. For a millisecond, my brain goes, "I need to stop him." It's not a real cat.
So, dog lover Cowboy definitively not recommending Stray. I think I really enjoyed your delivery right there, and you also said it in your podcast that it is super subjective, and I'm not going to poo-poo on anybody who left an overwhelmingly positive review for this on Steam. If you love Stray, that's fantastic.
Yes.
But I think we could have gotten a better kitty cat adventure. What we have right now is just fine. If you are a PlayStation owner who are, invested in the subscription service, you're already good to go. You can try this stake free, and if you don't enjoy it, you didn't pay any money for it. But if you love it, you got it as long as your subscription goes. As far as Steam, I would say just wait for a sale on this. I believe it retails at $24.99. And I'm like, I don't know, unless the mod scene on this gets really crazy that it's like, oh, you gotta try it, wait for a sale on this. Maybe around the holidays. So that'd be my opinion of that.
I'd have to agree. And then also saying that this is probably going to be a dead game means the mods will be dead because if nobody's playing it, nobody's modding it. But if you're getting it for free, I would definitely recommend it. That's one I forgot. If you're getting it for free.
Yeah, I think best case scenario, this will turn into one of those well-remembered indie games that is frequently on sale under $10, so people are kind of experiencing it all the time. And it's not a big time sink. That's the other thing. Like, if you whether or not you beat it and hate or love it, you aren't dumping double-digit hours into this.
But also for me, it's not just about like the gameplay and whether or not I enjoyed it. It's also what the game does in and of itself for, like, let's say the industry, because I feel like this is a super games as art kind of thing, and it changes what the definition of games and what they can be, which I'm seeing a lot. There's a lot of things that are moving the notch so that not everything's Gears of War, not everything's Call of Duty. A lot of games nowadays are becoming more open, and there's a huge wave of people who never got to play games before because they don't like those kind of games, but they like this one. So there's a whole sense of inclusion. There's a whole sense of like opening up the definition of games. Movies are all encompassing. Movies aren't just Transformers. And now games are kind of becoming that too, where it's not all just these one types of games for one type of gamer. And so I like that. I may not be part of that audience, but I like that we're including more audiences and doing more stuff. And there's always room for that.
I agree with you 100%. I really love that point of being more empathetic to other perspectives beyond, gaming as a kind of fast-paced medium. Mm-hmm. And, this does remind, like, there are, we're making the movie comparison, there are a lot of low-stakes movies that are still entertaining. There are, like, a lot, like, this is like even despite its sci-fi trappings, you could call some of this a slice of life for a cat because you're just walking around, being a cat and all that. And I think that's great. And I mean, maybe I didn't sell it enough earlier, but because I didn't want this to be so much a direct review of the game. But in terms of recent sci-fi concepts, I really loved what this game did with like the sentient robot companions of this world, and how they have no other kind of concept of consciousness but to repeat the human society they rose from. And there's like so many little like quote unquote human moments of this game played out via robots. There was a delightful encounter I had where I found two robots arguing over their upcoming D&D campaign. And it's just very funny that it's basically like, look at these nerds, these robot nerds, like, like getting ready for a fun night of gaming and everything. And it's like, that's so great. And I wanted to segue into this. What would you say
Yeah.
was your favorite kind of like world building or flavor text encounter?
I'm so glad you even said that, because like this was something I thought like hugely was the themes and the meat of this story for this cat game had really cool stuff. They'd have the kind of stuff that if I saw in a movie, I'd walk out thinking of all the possibilities. And I loved it. The idea of a human consciousness trapped in a device and having to like, him being, oh, spoilers. We going spoilers?
It's fine. Like I don't know
I
why
just
you would
realized
watch
I was about to
this. Yeah.
spoil the ending of the game. It's
Well,
a
we
month
kind of
later.
did. We
It's
did.
a 4-hour game.
Yeah, we've broadly spoiled it at this point, so you can get direct. Yeah.
Okay. A human consciousness, the last human consciousness possibly, being trapped in a robot body, let's say, and having to choose if his race needs to continue or if he should pass the buck for the chance of a new race that exists. And also these robots, the fact that their AI didn't advance in a weird technological way, but in the way of imitation. The story here is good. It's got a lot of like good meat to it that's super interesting and sci-fi. And it was weird that it was in this game for me. Like, I don't know. It's kind of a mismatch, but I loved it. Yeah, I love talking to all the robots and hearing their thoughts about why they are the way they are. The Zerks about creating a flesh-eating bacteria that went awry. There's so many good themes in this. I don't think the story gets enough credit.
No, absolutely. I think it just comes back to what we talked about very early at the top of the episode is the whole kind of kayfabe logic of like, how does this cat appreciate any of this? Do cats understand evolution? Do cats understand, the concept of a sentient consciousness that can empathize? As for us, the human audience, it's like, this is great. For the cat main character, it's like, huh? Feed me. Give me a treat, please.
It has I don't know. It has no idea what it did, or it has every idea. Maybe it's a human trapped in a cat's body, and that was just never explained because the cat can't talk. So that's the vital story beat that we missed that made sense.
I mean, back to the speculation. if there was future DLC, come on, it's right there.
Oh my God. Okay, now you got me a little bit excited. I'd take future DLC if it had contained more story and expansion and maybe did it a little... Better is the only word I want to say, but just more in, it was all fringe stuff. It was all like learning from the lore on the side. I want more like direct story. Like, give it to me. Give me the story.
Sure. The future of this game, I think we're both kind of settling on not optimistic to you said it earlier, possibly a dead game very soon.
Not 9 lives.
Not 9 lives. Oh, wow. Thank you. That's the best way to put it. I imagine we'll probably see a little bit of this on end of year lists. I can't even say that I think this would be an appropriate indie game of the year winner, because I've played some indie games that are a lot stronger. It's just like, this is kind of a mainstream indie game pick, like if you're a Game Awards, for it's like, well, what is everyone gonna love to see win? Everyone like the cat game, but I've seen a lot of other indie games so far this year that go deeper in gameplay and story equally. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a trade-off of we love one more than the other. So I don't want to in any way bury Stray, but I'm just gonna say 1 month later, Stray's just okay.
Yeah, it might win something for the art. Like, the art department's got to win something because there's a lot of good stuff there, and it was all just cohesive. It was all well put together. But like, the music doesn't stand out and the art doesn't stand out. I'm not sure what it would win, but yeah, just okay is a good way to put it.
It'll win the hearts of millions, as it's clearly already
It wins
has.
hearts.
It wins
That's
hearts.
what it does.
So any other lingering thoughts, Cowboy?
No, I mean, 4-hour game, you can only have about an hour worth of thoughts.
There you go. Look, it has the attention span of a cat as well. So there you go. Even more authentic. But Cowboy, I really appreciate you coming out today and just elaborating on your thoughts. Can you tell us where the lovely audience can find you?
Sure, you can find me at the GameCorp building, where we record our podcast, which is released every 2 weeks on Tuesday. If you guys don't know GameCorp, which is a massive mega conglomerate, so how do you not? But in case you don't, we are a giant video game company. We do publishing and reviews, and we might be run by evil video game villains. I don't know. Jury's still out on that one. But it's a fun show. You should definitely listen to it.
Yeah, I got bad vibes from the staff when I had that phone interview, but I mean, what you guys do in your department, fantastic. The podcast department is the highlight of Welcome to GameCorp.
Good, glad.
We'll have some links down below. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to give us a follow or subscribe so you can catch up on future installments of 1 month later and the other shows that we produce here at Bad Elephant Gaming. But until next time, this has been Thom.
And I'm Cowboy.
And we'll see you in the future.